Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I talk about cameras, photography, and all that good stuff. Today we are going to talk about the Viltrox 33mm f1.4 autofocus lens for the Sony E Mount system. Shout out to Viltrox. Thank you for sending me this lens to review. And as always with you guys, I am completely honest. If I want to trash something, I'll trash it. If I want to praise it, I'll praise it. In this lens's case, I like it a lot. The lens comes in a normal, just regular old white box. It's got some pictures on it and things like that. Nice quality. And then you also get a lens bag, and then a manual, a warranty booklet, and then as well you get custom Viltrox lens caps as well as the front caps, and I really like that. It's better than getting like a non-branded one or something like that, so nice touch by Viltrox on that. Front and center on the lens is the focal length and the aperture, and then on the side of it, it has the red C, and then on the other side of it, it has just the Viltrox logo, so it looks very similar to, say, the 23mm. And if I haven't said it already, Viltrox makes these three focal lengths, the 23, 33, and 56, for Sony E Mount, Fuji X Mount, and Canon EF M Mount. So you can get these lenses for different camera systems. So real quick, let's go over some of the specs, and then we'll dive into photo examples and video examples, which I am really stoked on, but it's always nice to just kind of get the specs out of the way, so let's do that. Obvious thing is this lens is a 33mm focal length. The equivalent full frame focal length is 49.5mm. Maximum aperture is f1.4, and the minimum aperture is f16. The front filter thread is 52mm, and then the weight of the lens is 270 grams or 0.59 pounds. The minimum focusing distance is 15.7 inches, and then also this is an autofocus lens, but it does not have lens image stabilization. Currently right now on Amazon, and I think Viltrox's site as well, it's around $260 US. With the specs out of the way, what's in the box and things like that, let's go ahead and roll into some photos that I took the other day, as well as some video samples, because I always forget about video samples, and let me know what you guys think. 33mm, let's go. So quick note, any footage in this video that's of me on a skateboard, or this footage right now, is with the 23mm. Everything else was shot with the 33mm. All right, continue. All right, back to me in the basement here. Hope you guys liked the video examples and the photo examples. I've really enjoyed my time with this lens. The middle range of both the Sigma lineup, the 30mm, and then this one, the 33mm, are the cheaper of the trios that Sigma and Viltrox sell. Sony, not so much. Their 35mm f1.8 is over $400. So it's interesting to me that in the Sigma lineup and the Viltrox lineup, the around 30mm focal length is like the cheaper or the shunned child of the trio. I'm not sure why that is, to be honest with you. Maybe they can just make this focal length cheaper or what have you, but I really enjoy the price point for this lens. I think it is definitely appropriate. It's really nice that manufacturers like Viltrox all of a sudden came out and they're like, hey, we're going to make 3 autofocus lenses for the Sony or, the other 2 mounts that I mentioned systems, and they're autofocus, because as you guys know, I've done a lot of reviews recently on manual lenses, so it was nice to get back into the autofocus world. And this is an autofocus lens with f1.4 for well under $300. Before you ask, yes, I'm going to do a comparison between this lens, Viltrox 33, the Sigma 30mm, and also the Sony 35mm. I wanted to do a single lens review for this first because I've had so much fun with it and it's really been a joy to use. And then it came to me and I was like, I need to compare all of these because both the Sigma and the Viltrox are so much cheaper, but are they that much worse? We'll have to find out. If you're in the market for a lens that you can do street photography in, one that you can even do portraits in, pet photography, car photography, travel, walk around, things like that, this lens is right in that range. It's not a super heavy lens. It's not big and bulking. It has the f1.4 awesome aperture, and it's a really sharp lens as well. So I think it is a well-rounded lens to jump into, getting a prime lens for your system. I think the 33mm focal length was maybe Viltrox's attempt at doing something a little different. It's not 30 like the Sigma, and it's not 35 like the Sony. But I'm not sure why they went with that, but it does have a lot of uses. So let's talk autofocus for a second. You guys been watching this whole entire video. I don't know what you think of the autofocus in this video, but I just want to let you know everything has been shot on Viltrox lenses. So if you thought the autofocus was bad or, not passable or something like that, then don't get Viltrox lenses. But me personally, I think their autofocus is pretty great. Just gonna come out and say it's not as good as Sony's native lenses for their cameras, say like the Sony 35mm f1.8. That lens has just pretty much one of the best autofocuses I've ever seen in a lens. The 33mm by Viltrox, it's pretty darn good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. And right now this shot is with the Viltrox 23mm f1.4. I think it's pretty darn good. So it's definitely not something to worry about when you're purchasing these lenses. I think it's great that these lenses are sold at the price point that they're sold at, sub $300 and all that jazz. So I just take it with a grain of salt that Sony autofocus is usually the best out there. And in this case, the Sony 35 is definitely better than the Viltrox 33. So a couple cons in my opinion for this lens is that the minimum focusing distance is over a foot. It's like almost 16 inches. And for me personally, when I'm taking photos, I really get up close and personal on different objects and different things. And I found myself not being able to focus sometimes. And then it would hit me, I'd be like, oh, I just need to step back like 5 inches or something like that. So me stylistically, it doesn't work for me all of the time, but I would say 90% of the time I'm fine. But something to think about if you're somebody who likes to get the detailed shots and things like that, or just, you're just used to getting up close. Like say the Sigma 16mm has a super short minimum focusing distance. This lens does not. Just like the Viltrox 23mm, I'm not the biggest fan of the aperture ring. It doesn't sound super smooth when you're using it. It is smooth somewhat, but there's like a sound to it when you're turning it. And then I also don't like how it doesn't click or lock in place. It does have somewhat of a lock when you put it into the A for automatic, when you can change things with the wheel of your camera, but I usually leave it on the far side where it's f1.4, and I do find myself from time to time hitting that or not realizing I've hit it, and then I'm down to like f1.6 on my screen. So something to be aware of when you're using your lens. You may, twist and turn, and then before you know it, you're down to f1.6, or on the other end, you're down to f16 away from the A. So something to think about. Maybe later on in another version of this lens or a different focal length, they'll get rid of that, but it's not the end of the world. It's just something to be aware of. All right, guys, but I think that wraps up this video on the Viltrox 33mm f1.4 for the Sony E Mount system. If you guys are thinking about getting this lens, I have affiliate links down in the description. So thank you guys if you go through those links. But as always, find the gear where it's cheapest for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And as always, I will see you guys in the next episode. Later.